Chapter 15. Part of the Answer. For an hour the maneuvers of both ships were indecisive. Lucky had the faster ship and the better, but Captain Anton had a crew. Each of Anton's men could specialize. One could focus and one could release, while a third could control the reactor banks, and Anton himself could direct operations. Lucky, trying to do everything at once and by himself, had to rely heavily on words. "You can't get to Ganymede, Anton, and your friends won't dare tip their hat coming out now, before they know what's up. You're all through, Anton. We know all your plans. There's no use trying to get a message through to Ganymede. Anton, we're blanketing the sum ether from you to Jupiter. Nothing can get through. Government ships are coming, Anton. Count your minutes. You don't have many unless you surrender. Give up, Anton. Give up." And all this while the shooting star dodged through as concentrated a fire as Lucky had ever seen. Nor were all the blasts successfully dodged. The shooter's energy stores began to show the strain. Lucky would have liked to believe that Anton's ship was suffering equally, but he himself was aiming few blasts at Anton, and landing virtually none. He dared not take his eyes off the screen. Terrestrial ships, speeding to the scene, would not be there for hours. In those hours, if Anton beat down his energy banks, broke away, and made good head toward Ganymede while a limping shooting star could only pursue without catching, or if a pirate fleet suddenly sparkled on stream, Lucky dared not follow those lines of thought further. Perhaps he had been wrong in not trusting the interception to government ships in the first place. No, he told himself, only the shooting star could have caught Anton, still 50 million miles from Ganymede. Only the shooter's speed. More importantly still, only the shooter's ergonometers. At this distance from Ganymede, it was safe to call in units of the fleet for the kill. Closer to Ganymede, and the fleet action would have been unsafe. Lucky's receiver, open all this time, was suddenly activated. Anton's face filled it, smiling and carefree. "You got away from Dingo, I see," Lucky said. "Again? You're admitting that he was working under orders in the push duel." An energy feeler toward Lucky's ships suddenly hardened into a beam of destructive force. Lucky moved aside with an acceleration that wrenched him. Anton laughed. "Don't watch me too closely. We almost caught you then with a Lulu. Certainly Dingo was working under orders. We knew what we were doing. Dingo didn't know who you really were, but I did, nearly from the first." "Too bad the knowledge didn't help you," said Lucky. "It's Dingo that it hasn't helped. It may amuse you to know that he has been, shall we say, executed. It's bad to make mistakes, but this kind of talk is out of place here. I'm only plating you to say this has been fun, but I'll be going now." "You have nowhere to go," said Lucky. "I'll try Ganymede." "You'll be stopped." "But government ships? I don't see 'em yet. And there's not one that can catch me in time." "I can catch you." "You have caught me, but what can you do with me? From the way you're fighting, you must be the only man on board. If I'd known that from the beginning, I wouldn't have bothered with you as long as is. You can't fight a whole crew." Lucky said in a low, intense voice, "I can ram you. I can smash you completely." "And yourself. Remember that." "That wouldn't matter." "Please, you sound like a space scout. You'll be reciting the Junior Scout Patrol oath next." Lucky raised his voice. "You men aboard the ship, listen. If your captain tries to break away in the direction of Ganymede, I will ram the ship. It is certain death for all of you unless you surrender. I promise you all a fair trial. I promise all of you the utmost consideration possible if you cooperate with us. Don't let Anton throw your lives away for the sake of his Syrian friends." "Talk on, government boy, talk on," said Anton. "I'm letting 'em listen. They know what kind of trial they can expect, and they know what kind of consideration too. An injection of enzymic poison." His fingers made the quick movements of some one inserting a needle into another's skin. "That's what they'll get. They're not afraid of you. Goodbye, government boy." The needles on Lucky's gravimetrics wavered downward as Anton's ship picked up speed and moved away. Lucky watched his visiplates. Where were the government ships? Blast all space! Where were the government ships? He let acceleration take hold. Gravimetric needles moved upward again. The miles between the ships were sliced away. Anton's ship put on more speed, so did the shooting star, but the accelerative possibilities of the shooter were higher. The smile on Anton's face did not waver. 50 miles away, he said. Then 45. Another pause. 40. Have you said your prayers, government boy? Lucky did not answer. For him there was no way out. He would have to ram. Sooner than let Anton get through, sooner than allow war come to Earth, he would have to stop the pirates by suicide if there were no other way. The ships were curving toward one another in a long, slow tangent. 30, said Anton lazily. You're not frightening anyone. You'll look the fool in the end. Veer off and go home, Starr.
25, retorted Lucky firmly. You have 15 minutes to surrender or die.
He himself, he reflected, had the same 15 minutes to win or die. A face appeared behind Anton's invisiplate. It held a finger to pale, tight lips. Lucky's eyes might have flickered. He tried to conceal that by looking away, then coming back. Both ships were at maximum acceleration.
What's the matter, Starr? asked Anton. Scared? Heart beating fast?
His eyes were dancing and his lips were parted. Lucky had the sudden, sure knowledge that Anton was enjoying this, that he considered it an exciting game, that it was only a device whereby he might demonstrate his power. Lucky knew that at that moment that Anton would never surrender, that he would allow himself to be rammed rather than back away. And Lucky knew that there was no escape from death.
15 miles,
Lucky said. It was Hansen's face behind Anton's. The hermit's. There's something in his hand.
10 miles,
said Lucky. Then,
6 minutes, I'll ram you. By space, I'll ram you.
It was a blaster. Hansen held a blaster. Lucky's breath came tightly. If Anton turned. But Anton was not going to miss a second of Lucky's face if he could help it. He was waiting to see the fright come and grow. To Lucky, that was plain as could be in the pirate's expression. Anton would not have turned for a much noisier event than the careful lifting of a blaster. Anton caught it in the back. Death came too suddenly for the eager smile to disappear from his face, and though life left it, the look of cruel joy did not. Anton fell forward across the visiplate, and for a moment his face remained pressed there, larger than life size, leering at Lucky out of the dead eyes. Lucky heard Hansen shout, "Back, all of you! Do you want to die? We're giving up! Come and get us, Starr!" Lucky veered the direction of acceleration by 2 degrees, enough to miss. His ergometers were registering the motors of approaching government ships strongly now. They were coming at last. The screens on Anton's ship were glowing white as a sign of surrender. It was almost an axiom that the fleet was never entirely pleased when the Council of Science interfered too much in what they considered to be the province of the military. Especially so when the interference was spectacularly successful. Lucky Starr knew that well. He was quite prepared for the Admiral's poorly hidden disapproval. The Admiral said, "Dr. Conway has explained the situation adequately, Starr, and we commend you for your actions. However, you must realize that the fleet has been aware of the Syrian danger for some time now and had a careful program of its own. These independent actions on the part of the Council can be harmful. You might mention that to Dr. Conway. Now, I have been requested by the Coordinator to cooperate with the Council in the next stages of the fight against the pirates, but—" he looked stubborn. "I cannot agree to your suggestion that we delay an attack on Ganymede. I think the fleet is capable of making its own decisions where battle and victory are concerned." The Admiral was in his 50s, and unused to consulting on equal terms with anyone.
let alone a youngster of half his age. His square-cut face with its bristly grey moustache showed it. Lucky was tired. The reaction, now that Anton's ship had been taken in tow and its crew in custody, had set in. He managed, however, to be very respectful. He said, "I think that if we mop up the asteroids first, the Syrians on Ganymede will automatically cease being a problem."
Good galaxy, man, how do you mean mop up? We've been trying to do that for 50 years without success. Mopping up the asteroids is like chasing feathers. As for the Syrian base, we know where it is. We have a good notion as to its strength."
He smiled briefly.
"Oh, it might be hard for the Council to realize this, but the fleet is on its toes as well as they are, perhaps even more so. For instance, I know that the power at my command is enough to break their strength on Ganymede. We are ready for battle."
"I have no doubt that you are and that you can defeat the Syrians. But the ones on Ganymede are not all the Syrians there are. You may be ready for a battle, but are you ready for a long and costly war?"
The Admiral reddened. "I have been asked to cooperate, but I cannot do so at the risk of Earth's safety. I can under no conditions lend my voice to a plan which involves dispersing our fleet among the asteroids while a Syrian expedition is being in the moon."
"May I have an hour?" interrupted Lucky. "1 hour to speak with Hansen, the Syrian captive I had brought aboard this ship just before you boarded, sir."
"How will that help you?"
"May I have an hour to show you?"
The Admiral's lips pressed together. "An hour may be valuable, may be priceless. Well, begin, but quickly. Let's see how it goes."
"Hansen," called Lucky without taking his calm eyes from the Admiral.
The hermit entered the bunk room. He looked tired, but he managed a smile for Lucky. His stay on the pirate ship had apparently left his spirits unmarked. He said, "I've been admiring your ship, Mr. Starr. It's quite the piece of metal." "Look 'ere," said the Admiral. "None of that. Get on with it, Starr. Never mind your ship."
Lucky said, "This is the situation, Mr. Hansen. We've stopped Anton with your invaluable help, for which I thank you. That means we've delayed the start of hostilities with Sirius. However, we need more than delay. We must remove the danger completely, and as the Admiral will tell you, our time is very short."
"How can I help?"
asked Hansen. "By answering my questions."
"Gladly, but I've told you all I know. I'm sorry that it turned out to be worth so little."
"Yet the pirates believed you to be a dangerous man. They risked a great deal to get you out of our hands."
"I can't explain that."
"Is it possible that you have some piece of knowledge without being aware of it, something that could be deadly for them?"
"I don't see how."
"Well, they trusted you. By the information you yourself gave me, you were rich, a man with good investments on Earth. Certainly you were better off than the average hermit. Yet the pirates treated you well, or at least they didn't mistreat you. They didn't rifle your belongings. In fact, they left your very luxurious home completely in peace."
"Remember, Mr. Starr, I helped them in return."
"Not very much. You said that you allowed them to land on your rock, to leave people there sometimes, and that's about all. If they had simply shot you down, they could have had that and your quarters as well. In addition, they did not have to worry about your becoming an informer. You eventually did become one, you know."
Hansen's eyes shifted. "That's the way it was, though. I told you the truth."
"Yes, what you told me was true. It wasn't the whole truth, however. I say that there must have been a good reason for the pirates to trust you so completely. They must have known that it meant your life to go to the government."
"I told you that,"
said Hansen mildly. "You said that you had been incriminated by yourself by helping the pirates, but they trusted you when they first arrived, before you had begun helping them. Otherwise they would have blasted you to begin with. Now let me guess. I'd say that once, before you became a hermit, you were a pirate yourself, Hansen, and that Anton and men like him knew about it. What do you say?"
Hansen's face went white.
Lucky said, "What do you say, Hansen?"
Hansen's voice was very soft. "You are right, Mr. Starr. I was once a member of the crew of a pirate ship.
That was a long time ago. I have tried to live it down. I retired to the asteroids and did my best to be dead as far as Earth was concerned. When a new group of pirates arose in the solar system and entangled me, I had no choice but to play along with them. When you landed, I found my first chance to leave, my first chance to take the risk of facing the law. 25 years had passed, after all, and I would have in my favour the fact that I had risked my life to save the life of a councilman. That's why I was so anxious to fight the pirate raiders on Ceres. I wanted to make another point in my favour. Finally, I killed Anton, saving your life a second time, and giving Earth a breathing place. You tell me in which a war might be prevented. I was a pirate, Mr. Starr, but that's gone, and I think I've evened the score." "Good," said Lucky, "as far as it goes. Now do you have any information for us that you didn't mention before?" Hansen shook his head. Lucky said, "You didn't tell us you were a pirate."
"That was irrelevant, really, and you found out for yourself. I didn't try to deny it."
"Well then, let's see if we can find anything else which you won't deny. You see, you still haven't told me the whole truth."
Hansen looked surprised. "What remains?"
"The fact that you never stopped being a pirate. The fact that you are a person who was only mentioned once in my hearing, and that by one of Anton's crewmen shortly after my push-gun duel with Dingo. The fact that you are the so-called boss. You, Mr. Hansen, are the mastermind of the asteroid pirates."